Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. I'm Ian Fortune, your host, as always, from my country operation. We've moved out of command centre. I'm down in Ross's Point at present, but I'm still here. The Wi-Fi is good. I'm very impressed. You know, once you leave the pale, you expect it to drop, lads. I'm alienating half the country here. The Exile Dub seems to get away with it from y'all. He's joining me again, and of course we have Alan Troy from Clare FM. Alan, who does the Friday night preview of the Greyhound Focus on Clare FM. Alan, you're very welcome indeed. You've plenty to talk about because this is an unbelievable Kirby.
It's absolutely mind-boggling now at this stage after the quarterfinals at the weekend. Like, we're looking at future superstars here, and to have them running in Limerick on show it's phenomenal. And all we're going to say, the excitement is building up now, and we can't wait till next Saturday night and roll on then Friday the 22nd for the finale. It's going to be remarkable, and what was showcased on Saturday night, just again, it has really set the tone for a magnificent festival of racing in the next few weekends in Limerick.
It sure has. It's set the tone for the magnificent few months of racing to come ahead with us at throughout the country, because Tommy, these are the dogs that we're going to be talking about for the next year or so. We normally sort of say, you look at the quality that left the competition, and it sort of highlights what's still left. But if you actually look at the final 12, Tommy, it's the wrong terminology to say there's no bag dog left in it. There's no dog that in this of the final 12 couldn't turn into a superstar. All 12 have unlimited potential, really.
Yeah, I think what's most impressive is the spread of quality. That to me, that's what I picked up over the last few weeks, is that, like, when you think a dog is just about to come and make a mark on the whole competition, something else comes in and does a huge run. The next thing, another one comes and does the same thing, like, or something similar or something huge. So it's been massively impressive. It's been superb, and it really is. I never like to compare years like that, because I have a head like a sieve anyway. I wouldn't even remember last year, but the depth of quality is.
I'd have used another term to describe your head, but go ahead.
yeah, shiny as well. There's a depth of quality that seems. Hey, there's a recency bias involved for anybody who's into statistics. There's a recency bias involved here, but, like, it just looks phenomenal. Let's be honest, it does.
It sure does. When you consider the three of the heats were dogs that we mentioned last week would, no doubt come on for the runs, and dogs that still had room for improvement, like Scooby Prince sort of all of a sudden came roaring back to form, as I think I predict. I'm not sure you predict, Tommy. Balnabula Ed ran very well. Kildare, who came into the competition as an unraced greyhound, and Magical Kuba, who had won last week, but as we said, just showing all the signs of a dog that could be very special over 550 yards. Well, before 550 yards, he could be very special in this year's Con Annie Kirby, because, Alan, I put it to you that this was one of the great displays of recent Kirbys. This was a sensational effort. 409, 1595 to the third bend, 2802. Pat Guilfoyle had to pull out two of his big guns before the opening round. He leaves in Magical Kuba, and needless to say, here he is in the semi-final after posting the fastest time of the competition. He's a special greyhound. You're on mute there, Alan.
It was a magnificent performance, and he's the only wide seed still left in it now, so he has, progression-wise, he has trap 6 all the way, so he'll be familiar with his running from his break into the bend from 6. But what really impressed me was the way he ran on. And after doing that sectional of 1595, we'd often see speed merchants maybe fading a bit, but he seemed to be just striding and showcased like he is going to be a potential derby player without a shadow of a doubt. And to do 2802, it was a joy to watch that race and to see a performance of that quality. And then I was just, studying the dogs, how he and the night Ballinabula Ed broke the track record in Tralee. I just noticed it was Magical Kuba that was a length and a half behind him. So the two boys looks like they'll be competing again, like they're going to be the two big boys of the next 12 to 18 months without, if, all things going well. So again, it was a mind-boggling run. And it's just mouth-watering now just for the potential of the semi-final. He has 6 again, and I really think a dog that really impressed me throughout it is Deadly Showtime. I think he is magnificent early, and I think in the first round heat, his early sectional was 119, which is magnificent around Limerick. So he has trap one, and with Magical Cuba in 6. So with his early, and again Swords Rex is in 2, a dog with phenomenal pace, and again I think one of the I know Magical Cuba's run of 2802 was probably the talking point, but again, I thought Kildare's performance was, for a young dog, a July whelp, and only racing in his 3rd race in the quarterfinal of the Kirby to do what he did and run well from 5, which he has again now in the next night. I just say we're looking at another future superstar there, and with the way the Comerfords have had a great run with Susie Sapphire and all that, it's great to see them with another potential star. So, yeah,
we'll get back to those 2 semi-finals. Tommy, for the moment, we'll focus on the heats. Magical Cuba, this really was a massive step forward again. Alan referenced the run there behind Ballinabulla Ed. In commentary that night, Mike O'Dwyer said we have a race on. Now, we knew how fast Ballinabulla Ed was at that point. He'd seen enough of Magical Cuba in Tralee to suggest that he was going to give Ballinabulla Ed a run that night. That says it all. He's come forward again. It was just breathtaking the other night. What is he, just a length off the clock?
Yeah, well, it surprised me a little bit. Not the time, but the fact that he can do the time, that's no surprise.
It was the run to the corner surprised you a bit.
The run to the corner caught me out completely. Didn't expect that at all. I thought the competition for the lead was in 2, 3 and 4. Even Ballymaclean can break, so I thought he might even be involved in 3. The ball Freddie has early pace. Drubby's nice one, who was disappointing. I thought she definitely turned a bit closer. I know she wouldn't be an absolute electric early pacer, but she still turned close enough, and she stays very well. But this was a phenomenal performance from Magical Cuba. He did it everywhere. And like we knew this, we knew the second he led, it was all over. Forget about it. It
was a statement type run, but it could be one of those. It could be just one of those that this is what he's going to be going forward. By all accounts, this could be just an absolute superstar that has just decided that the penny's now dropped, and I know what this game is about, and it's all roads lead forward.
Oh yeah, you're right, and that's and in the sense, like, he has 307. The night he was second to Ballinabulla Ed, it was a 307. That'll be fairly fast. I'm certain, without knowing.
That'd be good, and it was a 125 the other night, which was, obviously he did a 138 the previous week and a 133 the week prior to that, so that was his fastest start.
Hence the reason I didn't expect is what he did the other night early. I say that doesn't surprise me one bit, because he has serious times on his clock, or on his card for a dog with only 6 runs under his belt. These are we have to remember, these are still very young, and most of them extremely inexperienced. And just because they haven't been breaking in the first 4 or 5 runs doesn't mean they're not going to be the most reliable breaker come September when we're looking at Derby. That's what Magical Cuba could be.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's something you sort of you take for granted. That what they've done in their first 3 or 4 races, what they're going to do throughout their career. You're dead right. Each of these dogs are so young; they can all step forward.
They can all change. Like look at Kildare. Like, talk about being thrown in the deep as the deep ends. Do you know what I mean? And he's just finding a way to swim, but to keep himself afloat. And all of a sudden he finds himself turning a little bit closer the last night and wins a race. What could that do for him? I don't know. Maybe it'll turn him into a 28-second dog. Do you know what I mean? Just confidence getting around. He's it's they're still so inexperienced.
I genuinely think of the final 12 dogs, all 12 of them were capable of going close to 28 seconds on their night.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the Magical Cuba under night on the clock was just there's no surprise. And if any of those dogs, any of the 12 do that time next week, there'll be no surprise. It just won't be. Just you know what you know the way we look at races, Ian, on a weekly basis. It's down to the makeup of the race. I'm not like from obviously I concentrate a lot on horse racing, and I'm not really good at looking ahead to anti-post stuff. It just doesn't interest me, because I think the makeup of a race is extremely important in any race, and what's in it, what pace is in it, what type, conditions, obviously, things like that. So it's similar with greyhound racing. The makeup of the race is so important, and there's so little difference between the quality of a lot of these dogs, Ian. That's what will make the difference come the final. Yeah,
it is worth pointing out that of all the races, this was the one probably did lack the real early speed. So we know that Bull Frey can go up well, and Drubby's Nice one can go up reasonably, but you wouldn't describe them as absolute speed merchants, dogs that could step down and take in a sprint trip or whatnot. Now, that said, I don't care what heat Magical Cuba's in the other night. He's probably going to take some stopping. That was the hell of a run. The Bull Freddie, Tommy, always second. He was backed into favouritism prior to the competition. he's going to need to find a few lengths. We know he's capable of it because he has a couple of massive runs around Tralee, but he's still going to have to find those couple of lengths to get involved in the the cut and thrust of the final, shall we say?
Yeah, but that was a little bit closer to his 28-29 run Tralee. I was a little bit closer to it in the sense that he's gone from 133, 150 to 128, is it? 128. So I mean, it's a small step in the right direction. Yes, a little bit more is needed, but like he's not a dog with just 6 runs under his belt. So we're not going to put him into a basket and say that's all he can do. Like
absolutely.
He's still there to improve, like all the rest of them are.
Alan, Crafty Kokoro, she's representing the West. She's an absolute aeroplane. You look at the race and go, oh, she might have been looking to get third. Where she was positioned, we knew she was going to absolutely hammer up the home straight. She would have been very close to qualifying anyway, as it was. Droopy's Nice One sort of found herself with no real room to race at the third and fourth bends, and she switched off the last bend and ran into Fernandez. The two of them sort of got involved, and it sort of left the inside to Crafty Kokoro. But she was storming home anyway. She may well still have qualified. She's still there. And the way her racing style is, it's going to be very hard to keep her from qualifying again next week because they can't all lead in that heat. Something's going to have to be sort of finding a pocket. If she gets on the fence early, she'll be right there banging contention for a qualifying spot again. Yeah,
she's in trap 2. So, if she can break a bit better, she'd have a great chance with the rails and again, power home on the way down. But she's up against Scooby Prince as well, who finished, to me, was a very impressive performance to do 28:30 and to come off the pace, he ran on really strongly. So if he could get his act together with braking, there could be a massive run in that dog yet.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a few moments. Tommy, Crafty Kokoro, just briefly, I thought actually the other night she broke too well. Because instead of being a length behind into the corner, she was 3 parts of a length into the corner, and herself and Ballymac-Leon, there was nowhere to go. She was forced to check. She lost her stride, but to get back to qualify, she only beaten 7 3/4 lengths, which means she's doing sub 28:60 after the traffic she found.
Yeah, she's remarkable, and she's always dangerous because of her ability to recover from a little bit of trouble in running. She's very seldom she's going to get a clear run. It's just not her nature. We talked about a couple of minutes ago about how these dogs are capable of changing. They're very inexperienced. She's one of the more experienced ones, and we've seen not an awful lot of her 14 runs isn't a huge amount still, but we have a fair idea of what she's about now. Like she is a 550, 575, 600-yard bitch who has her. I'd say it's her ability to pick up after finding trouble, and I suppose because she's used to it already. In a short career, that makes her so dangerous. Yeah, she broke a little bit better, and look, if you're an owner, you say to yourself, "Geez, there's no such thing as actually not breaking too well," because you want them to break and hope that they get a bit of luck at the first bend. She just happened to be close enough to the dog in front of her that she got checked up badly enough. Now, in fairness, she did, yeah. She got 3 or 4 lengths lost at that stage. Yeah. And then you have to renegotiate your way past the dogs that you've just gone back behind. So, it's a phenomenal run. I bigged up Droopy's Nice One last week. I was disappointed with her, but I'm only disappointed with one run. I'm not disappointed with her as a prospect. Oh no, she's a star. She's a star, and she's only a September 20. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm disappointed with one run, not with her as her potential hasn't changed and what she can and probably hopefully will achieve over the next few months. Yeah. It hasn't changed. And Fernandez again showed loads of pace. Ballymac-Leon, it didn't happen from the other night, yeah. It didn't go from. He was slightly in front of Crafty Kokoro, which I would expect him to be clear of her going into the bend and maybe get a run and whatever else. But it just didn't happen for him. But Crafty Kokoro is going to be, I think you said it last week, he's just type one that's going to pop up in the final, really, isn't she? Yeah. Just before we go any further, Alan mentioned to me before we went on air, he said there's 6 Droopy Sydneys left out of 12. Yeah. And it just so happens that Droopy's Nice One and Fernandez were also Droopy Sydneys. You can say that both of them were a little bit unlucky. Alan, it's pretty remarkable what he's achieving as a sire. It's actually brilliant. It's crazy, to have that success rate, like 6 out of 12 remaining. And again, I want to highlight Burgess Bucks for a young dog too. It's great for he's 2 of his progeny on, and he's really, I think he's a real star for the future as well. So, but again, Droopy Sydney, it's phenomenal, his success rate. And to think, you nearly don't even need to look at it. Every time a young dog comes out and does a massive run, you nearly just sort of take it for granted. It's nearly a Droopy Sydney. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. And I think, as it Orla or Dawn said, he was on a couch for 5 years prior to
after his injury or something.
I'm not
like
quite
that.
sure. It was 5 years, but it was certainly a few years. He and his first mating was basically an accidental mating, and that produced Bubbly Bluebird and others. And here we are, a few years later, talking about him being an absolute wonder star. It's amazing how things happen. Tommy, it just so happens that the son of Droopy Sydney won the second heat. Kildare, a dog who we've highlighted twice or three times over the last few weeks. He really is a dog he's unpolished, shall we say, but you can see it coming week on week. And his start the other night was a bit better. Still not the 125 or 126 that I think will come. I have a feeling that Peter Cronin was only sort of half expecting him to qualify because he's down to trial and toaster tomorrow. That's obviously not going to happen. I've sent him a text. He's yet to respond. But Kildare is a very exciting young greyhound. It's a strange type of contest. Crypto Punk straight out, the other Kobe straight in. They were clashing early. Droopy's Edison didn't come away. Ballymore Border and Tommy Too Many never really got involved. Kildare slipped around second, quickly had the momentum in his favour. He went around in first. He went around the second bend, carrying more momentum, hit the front down the far side, and then held the other Kobe on the run in. It was a tremendous performance by Kildare. Hard to believe it's only his third start.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not surprised. I didn't realise that he was booked in for a trial and toss. I'm not surprised because there's a couple of things about Peter Cronin we've seen over the years. He obviously has a focus on winning the English Derby.
I just think he sees it as his jaunt, whether he goes and wins it or not. I think he just loves to get over there for a few weeks. You know what I mean?
He's not sending dogs over for fun.
No, and every year he brings over the same type of dog, unexposed, progressive, improving greyhounds. And
I think that's what you have to have. I know it hasn't worked for him yet, but it's gone close a few times. And the dogs are a credit to him. And I think the fact that he pitched in Kildare straight into this competition, told us what we need to know about the potential of the dog. Like he's Peter Cronin's no fool. And you might look at lads and say, oh, they're tilting at windmills, but not when we saw Kildare, not one of them was going, geez, he's no hoper. We might say, yes, he's an unlikely winner, and he probably still remains an unlikely winner. But you can see the progression. And you can, more so than what I think for next week or the week after, that doesn't matter whether I think he qualify or not. But what I think he might be in 2 or 3 months' time is something different. Like like you said, I do think that is like even what really impressed me the other night was that the six of them in this heat were nearly past the first line together, you know what I mean? And then they were down to the bend almost together. And it took a bit of bravery for a dog of so little experience to hold his position that well and to drive around the bend and into second place. And then, as you said, he carried the momentum from there. I think it was like 28-45 leaves him with more to find, but it's still a smashing performance.
But there's certainly 10 spots to find at traps alone, and then the fact that he had to go around dogs. When he gets loose early, I have no doubt there's a massive run in him. And going forward, I think he's also a dog. While he may not be racing right to the line, I think 550 in Shelbourne Park in September would be no problem to him, Alan. And I think the longer run to the corner will certainly suit him because he's plenty of early boot.
Yeah, definitely. Like he's a massive future ahead of him, and the way he navigated the bend for a young dog there in trap 5 was, showed just a bit of bravery and track sense. And it's for to see that and a dog so young, it's very rare against that quality like he was against. Like it was just. He's really going to be a big player going forward, I think.
Yeah, and Aidan Comerford owning him. After all the success what Peter had last year with Susie Sapphire, I'd say Aidan said to himself, "Well, what the hell with this? Let's get our hands on a good one." And here we are with Kildare. And when I said it last week, Tommy, when a Comerford calls a dog Kildare, they think a fair bit of him.
Yeah, it's like a Martin Stone for JP or the like.
There's nothing clear in this competition, Alan, but there was clear success over the weekend. We'll get to that a little bit later on. In behind Kildare, the other Kobe, he had to shake off plenty of early bother, probably not carrying the momentum into the back straight. Kildare got beyond him, but he's staying on again. It's hard to believe he only had his first race a week or two ahead of the Kirby. His racing has all been done. Basically it's on its card. Prior to Saturday night, there was 5 runs on his card. They were his 5 runs. He's very promising. He is. Listen, let's not kid ourselves. He is quite trap dependent. He will want the inside. That's no doubt about that. But there's still loads of ability there, and I still think he could be a player. He's going to need to absolutely hammer the traps in the semi-finals. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But he's a fast greyhound, Alan.
Yeah, he is without a doubt. Yeah, he is, again, a very bright future ahead of him. And again, it's great to see Jennifer O'Donnell with 2 left out of the 12, young aspiring trainer. She's great success in the last while, especially with the Scooby prefix and that. The other Kobe, definitely. Again, a dark horse here if he can hit the lids. He has plenty potential and plenty speed going down, and yeah, he could be a dark horse to make the final, in my opinion. Yeah.
Tommy, the other Kobe, again, trap dependent, but he's doing all the right things. He's definitely one for the future as well.
There's a huge amount to like about him. The other night when he came out, he went in, and then the one dog, CryptoPunk, came out, and they had he actually still managed to lead CryptoPunk into the bend. And you might think, he should go on and win, but 5 had momentum, Kildare had momentum, and then he was coming back again to the line. I know you're saying that Kildare isn't hitting that line hard at the moment, but there's still a huge amount to like. He's a shock and draw in the semi-final. We get on to
he definitely has a shocker. He's going to have to do a 123 or 124 to get across. Even that mightn't be good enough.
But I've no doubt that's in him.
Yeah,
no doubt whatsoever. I think what I like about him is there's just looking ahead. What I like about him is there's the obvious signs of greenness in him still.
Mm-hmm.
But you can pick all the spots where you say that's where he's going to improve in that department, there, and all of a sudden you've got a superstar in your hands, potential superstar. He is definitely well worthy of being in a semi-final, and even if he gets to a final, he's well up to that sort of standard. Look, the problem is I could say this about most of the dogs that are left, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how he develops, because I've seen more than enough to think that he can do it everywhere, start and finish. Yes, you talked about bump, and maybe he always will. Maybe he always will be. We'll watch him closely over the coming months. But there's something that there's a little bit of an X factor about him, I think.
Yeah, we're still in a situation where now that he has a few runs under his belt, we're just waiting for him to get loose to see what he is capable of achieving. Because on occasion we've seen him going to the corner, we've seen him flying down the back, and we've seen him roaring home. It's just lovely to see him get a chance to do all three on the one night, and if he does, as you said, big run in him. Druppies Edison is a strange one back in third, Tommy. It was the first time he finished out of the first 3. There's no question there's unbelievable ability there. He's yet to back up races. Does that make sense? It seems to be every second night. Now, I know he was beaten the last night, but he lost nothing in defeat behind Swords Rex. But this was just a little bit flat for, compared to one or two of his best runs. Again, when he does things right, he's pretty special. He's 28-18 on his card. Sensational run in the final of Juvenile Classic. Big run in the opening round of Kirby. Last week, okay run behind Swords Rex. The other night was just perhaps his weakest run for quite some time, Tommy.
Yeah, it was. I think that's fair. First time out of the first 2, as you said, I felt the same as you, Ian. I thought he was positioned to run his race perfectly. You know what I mean? He was positioned to do it, and there wasn't. Yeah, look, there's still pups, and if something happens in an area in the race, you don't know how they're really going to react to it. It was a little bit flat. I tend to forgive it. And he's probably got a seriously good draw if he's going to make the most of it in the semi-final, or a pretty good draw at the worst case in the semi-final. So I'd be quick enough to forgive it. Robert Gleeson is a great operator, and he'll have him sharpened up for the weekend. I doubt Robert will miss the opportunity to get him through to the next round or to the final. I think I'm just going to forgive Mean and say, hey, that something happened in the race, whether it was the little bit of a clip that he got, or a little bit of a bump that he got, put him off more than you would expect or hope that it would. So he remains a serious prospect. Geez, he's only August.
Yeah, he's very young.
Very young.
Bred in the purple. Alan, I know you fancy him anyway. A son of Burgess Books. There is plenty to like about him. He's still a major player, especially from a reasonably good draw the next night. Lenson Nice will go up well on his outside. Crafty Kokoro shouldn't challenge him early. And there's every chance he can get around in front of Scooby Prince. We can see this dog in the final. And if he does turn up in the final, he's capable of a 28-10 run every night of the week. Yeah,
he has a great chance of making the final, especially with, the 2 inside him. The draw, it's a good draw. And if he can come to the bend, he has the potential to be leading, I'd say, to the bend, and Balnabola is on the outside in trap 6. So again, he'll be the pace setter in this as well. Yeah, he's August, I think. So he's a baby really in this competition, and again with Robert Gleeson, he'll get the best out of him going forward, and he has a very, very bright future. Yeah.
Yeah, he's only had the seven. He's only had the 7 starts. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know we've been talking about him for a couple of months, but you sort of forget how inexperienced these dogs are. The ones that didn't qualify there, Ballymore Border just didn't happen from the other night. Same for Tommy Too Many, who'd been so impressive in the previous 2 rounds, and Crypto Punk, who's probably the interesting one of the contest. Tommy having his 3rd race of the night, moving straight off the fence in the early yards, and well, with the other Kobe cutting straight inwards, that was always going to end in disaster. But he's definitely shown enough to suggest, he's an exciting type going forward for Graham Holland and Simon Taylor. We'll move on to Heat 3, because this was the one where, by all accounts, it looked like Deadly Showtime was going to go bang wallop lead again into the opening corner. He had a couple of lengths in hand early. I thought there was a poached stride going into the opening bend. I don't know, maybe I'm seeing things, but just 2 strides into the opening corner, it looked like he was just feeling something. No sign of it thereafter, but it just allowed Ballinabula to go up on his outside and skip on into a clear advantage, and he galloped all the way to line at 28.15. Tommy, every time I see Ballinabula Ed, I just get excited. I think anything he achieves now is a bonus. He's just made for 550 yards at Shelbourne Park. He will absolutely relish it. Well,
my credibility hangs on the Ballinabula Ed thread after the bitch getting knocked out. It was a nice one, but I think this is a huge performance. I want to say, because we have made a point about Deadly Showtime, what would happen when he was late, and there was an opportunity for him to kind of go back to old antics, and hopefully they're gone. This is a serious training performance to get this dog, focused and doing his job right. It's a great training performance. I don't think he lost a lot in defeat, because I think he's up against an exceptional greyhound. As I said last week, I thought Drew would be nice one on himself for the 2 bets at the price. Ballinabula Ed is just a serious dog. One thing I pointed out, I think, last week was that even though Deadly Showtime was doing big sectionals, there were dogs that were breaking almost with him, if you know what I mean. Maybe 3 parts of length is still quite significant, let's be honest about it. It's still quite significant at that stage of a race, but there were dogs breaking with him. He did everything right, Deadly Showtime, absolutely flew the lids. I can't see that striding, but then that's a kind of a funny thing. I think you either spot it first time or you don't, or you spot it the very first time you watch a race, or else you don't see it at all. It's just one of those kind of things. So you could be right about that, but I still think Ballinabula Ed, this is what he does. This is the way he races. He's never going to, well, maybe not to say
he charges into the opening corner.
He charges, yeah, he doesn't fly the boxes, but he has electric air pace, a turn of pace, and he's driving that bend. He wanted to go in again, right, which was potentially holding him up a little bit. He did 28.15 and probably lost the length there trying to barge his way in, not barge, or certainly force his way in a bit at the bend. It is a little bit of a concern that he wants to be that far in when he's going to be in top 6 in the semi-finals. But at the same time, he's yet another. This is boring. I keep saying, but it's like he's just another massive prospect. I don't know, Ian. I'd love to go back on last year's race again and maybe look over all the heats through each of the rounds and say, did we see this sort of depth?
No, we didn't. I'll tell you straight off the bat. Like, I'm not going to denigrate any dogs, but like at this point of the competition last year, you wouldn't even have Stone Park Leo in your mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, in this competition, you'd been going, gosh, sure, he's no chance. You know what I mean? Now, as it was, he progressed forward and produced an unbelievable run in the final. But genuinely, all 12 of these greyhounds are there. They're already there. Any one of them could do a 28-10 run on the big night, get out in front and make every inch of the running. Like, that's how good they are. I've never seen a final 12. I'll go as far as to say even competitions. Like in derbies, you have dogs that are 100-1 at a semi-final stage. There's no dog here that will ever be 100-1 to win a derby. They're just an exceptional bunch of dogs. Simple as.
It does seem that way, Ian, and as I said to you, it doesn't make me great view if we're saying everything is so great, but it's just a fact. Like you kind of, I try to find a chink in something, or something, a little bit of an X factor.
But that's where you have to look. You have to look at their style of racing and where they're going to get a run and where they're not going to get a run. And we'll definitely have stronger opinions in the semi-finals as regards, this is a great dog, that's a great dog. Yeah, but that great dog can't get a run. That great dog's going to be on the floor. Do you know what I mean?
But the beauty, anyway, of the performance the other night, right, was that the quickest breaker in the competition led him out and he accelerated past him into the bend. That is the key. So when we look at any heat that he's in, no matter where he's drawn, right, and he's going to be pretty wide likely, we can always say that even though, yes, he won't lead at the first section or maybe even the finishing line the first time, he might lead the 25 yards on from the first line. Even though he's still probably not going to lead there, he can lead into the bend. against any company, because if you can lead Deadly Showtime in at that point after him breaking, and I know it was a 125 compared to 119 or something, but at the same time, Deadly Showtime flashed the traps. So Balnabola Ed is a player regardless of draw.
Yeah. Alan, we've seen Pat Buckley winning the Kirby Memorial before, and more than one occasion. He knows what it takes. He probably is more than aware that this greyhound has every bit of ability to go and do it. He's as good as any Kirby winner we've already seen, and this is only going into the semi-finals.
Without a doubt, yeah. Like he has, Pat must be clapping his hands like with the potential this greyhound has, you know, and having him in his kennel. And then from Pat's perspective, he was a bit unfortunate with the draw. His three are all in the one heat too, so, you know. But again, like what Balnabola did in Tralee, such a young age, just it's really showcasing the potential this dog has. And I'd say we'll be seeing a lot of him for the next 2 years in all the major competitions. And again, reiterating what Tommy said, to be leading Deadly Showtime at the bend after the pace, you know, the early pace of Deadly Showtime and how he flashed from lids, just shows that once Ed starts striding at all, he has, like, the pace is just, it's breathtaking, and the potential this dog has it's enormous.
Yeah, Deadly Showtime was second. I'm certain he took a poach stride going into the opening corner. That probably allowed Balnabola Ed draw a bit closer, but you know, whether or not he would have been able to match Balnabola Ed on the night is questionable still. But he's still there, a major player. Tommy, any dog that can trap like this obviously has to have big claims going forward.
Oh yeah, I'd say I've a huge admiration for what Carl has done with him here, because he had a few quirks, but he's after getting them to do it right in every round of this competition. Like even getting beat every night. He
just looks like he's maturing into a proper greyhound. Simple as, you know.
He's proper early paced ability, like proper. Yeah. He's a brilliant trapper, and he can. I don't know where, like what trip or what might suit him. He's run over further, hasn't he?
He was 1.575 in Cork.
He won in the 5. He ran one heat in the 5.75 competition, and even at that, he probably just wasn't mature enough at the time. But like it wasn't a bad ploy either, because it was just to get the dog out and get him a bit of clear daylight. Now he was taking on seriously seasoned dogs, and that's what kind of pushed me towards him in the early rounds of this competition, was that he had taken on the top open class dogs with plenty of experience, and he was able to beat them in the first round, compete with them in the second round, and get to the final. So like he's a dog of proper ability, and I think that wasn't a bad ploy, because he might have just built his confidence a little bit just to get a longer run to the bend and just see a bit of daylight. And now I think the fruition is what he's doing at the moment.
Yeah, Glengar Scholar was third. He got up in the line to just chin Stories Archie. He would have been a bit unlucky. He was hampered on the corner when disputing third spot, was sent back to fourth, stayed on again at the finish. He's capable of so much better, but he's going to have to find his trapping boots if he's going to go any further, Alan, because it gets a bit hot from here on in. He's flanked by his kennel companions, Lenson and Ice and Balnabola Ed the next night. I'd fear for his chances of progressing.
Yeah, on paper, yeah, but again, he's a dog with an enormous potential as well. You know, he's there on merit, and again, he has loads of ability and loads of pace. So anything is possible. You know, again, it could come down to the break if you can clear the bend without a bit of trouble. You know, like again, you're going back to the quality that's there, and you've reiterated it a few times, Ian. It's just any of them, you know, can do a 28-10 run if things go to plan, you know.
Yeah, no question. And he already has a 28-23 on his card. So, yeah. And a 28-03, I beg your pardon, 28-24 around Limerick, should I say? Yeah, stunning one. The three that went out there, Karen Tuchel and Stories Archie, and Emily's Jet. Emily's Jet is actually due to trial at Toaster tomorrow. Another one of those progressive young dogs that Peter likes to bring to Toaster. Be interested to see how he goes. A very strong running greyhound, Emily's Jet, one to keep an eye on. Moving on to the final heat of the round. Here, Lenson and Ice didn't get the flying start, Tommy, but I'll tell you one thing, he has stunning early speed. A 4.03 after the start he made. Unbelievable. Swords Rex turned second, was probably held up slightly off the final bend, probably trying to race the same line. At the same time, Scooby Prince was motoring around the outside. This was a return to form for Scooby Prince, 28-30, coming from off the pace. Alan mentioned it earlier on. It's a stunning run anyway, but when you're doing it from off the speed, it's extra special. I think Jennifer was listening to you last week and said, I'm going to show Lyons.
Yeah.
In fairness to her, she had two runners that both qualified. Very impressive.
And they're two like he's already achieved, so which seems bizarre coming into this competition, but he's already achieved win the national puppy stake. But the other dog is a serious dog too, Kobe. This was a really good performance. So I did say last week, don't think in slight mitigation for what I said, that I still, and at the moment I'm still not seeing him as the winner of this competition. But I did say last week that I thought into the escape he was a different dog than he had been the previous week going into the escape, which signalled that his intent was there. You know what I mean? That he was back to what a dog should be doing, chasing hard and kind of driving all the way to the escape.
He could be just one of those dogs that thrives in racing. You know, a layoff mightn't have suited him, and all of a sudden he's trying to find his feet again. And who's to say the next week he couldn't be going faster again?
He definitely could. And again, watching from the line into the escape, like watching him again the other night, same thing. He's absolutely driving into it. I mean, his appetite is there. Like he really wants to win and get that. He wants to catch that lure. Like he really, really does. And that's makes him, like as you say, potential to go quicker and whatever else. It's funny, if he was the winner of this competition, we'd be saying, you know, we expect to see something new here because they're supposed to be young dogs that we kind of haven't really seen a lot of, or we probably didn't see till January or February. But we got a national puppy stake winner who's coming into this competition who went a little bit under the radar. But if he won it, it would be upholding the form from last year and saying, okay, lads, do you know what? The standard is already here. Come on, let's come and beat us now. Like, you know, come and show us that you're up to this grade.
I think he's going to be a massive player in the Derby come September. The 550.
Proven around Shelbourne Park. He always looked a 550-yard dog in that puppy stake, Alan, no question about it. You've already said you were so impressed with Scooby Prince. Hard not to be impressed by Lenson and Ice as well, Alan. Yeah,
he's a very genuine, consistent dog, plenty of ability, great striding. Again, there is a clear connection with him too. I think with Austin Whelan from Doolin is involved in the ownership of him. So it's, you know, from a clear perspective, we'll be flying the banner flag, you know, just, you know, shout him over the line, and be great to have a clear association in the final. But again, he's it all to do, very hot heat, but again, a dog with massive potential. And I can see him again come Derby time, big player. Hopefully.
Whether the 550 yards will be right up his road, Tommy, I'm not so sure, but he's certainly a dog, has early speed, and he's coming forward. It's worth pointing out that was his best run to date the other evening, 28.37 in defeat. You know, that's an improvement of 30 spots from last week.
Yeah, it was like 30 spots, massive improvement. He's only getting familiar so with Limerick, and, you know, again, if you can find another 10 spots next week, sure, he could be in the final. So
it takes a lot to quieten down Ian Fortune, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
There's no harm. This is like a golden moment in our lives. Well, I tell you, on the Lenson and Ice, right? Like he looks to me, he looks a Laurel's dog. He's with that sort of early pace. I know that's kind of obvious, and being based in Cork, I kind of, you know, you always have that kind of in the back of your mind. That might be a competition for whatever dogs, because obviously I want the quality dogs down there. He looks seriously like he's only a June pup, and maybe he will stay a bit better as he gets a bit of experience. Maybe that will happen. But what he's done so far is quite impressive, and because of that early pace, and you'll know it, Alan, because of that early pace, he's going to be dangerous. Like the competition tightened up already for the quarterfinals, right? It tightened up an awful lot for the quarterfinals, and it's going to tighten up even more in the semi-finals. We've already said that we were struggling to separate the 12 dogs that are left in the competition. So if he has that early pace to slip around in front, who knows what can happen?
Yeah. Like, again, as to say, every owner in the country, when you see the profile in the sport and press, what you prefer, early or late, the majority say early. And you have to be out to win, you have to be out to qualify. And again, he has it, so he's every chance. But again, it's the quality that he's up against. Like it's going to be a big ask, but he's well capable of doing it without a doubt. And again, Cork should suit him for the Laurels. That could be on the radar with Pat. Yeah, and we won't feel that the way the year is going.
I wonder was sort of very slightly disappointing, or was it just not able to get the run at the bend just inside Lenson and Ice? He just had the measure of a early pace. He was slightly below his form of the last day, and I suppose the fact that Scooby Prince came around him so strongly. I think think I'd probably forgive it maybe a little bit. I think things, the difference between winning and losing was very fine margins. I think he's still a fine prospect, isn't he?
Oh, massive. He is like he's going to be a big player going forward. And again, he's very young, so he's a massive prospect. And his early is going to win him a lot of races going forward, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, indeed. Sorry about that dropping out. It's just me for slagging the for the old Wi-Fi down the country. I'm now on cellular, so if I do drop it again, you know why. Just the three that didn't qualify there. Ballymac Ben, he's a dog for the future, Tommy. He's a real strong runner. I think over a trip, Disco Pants, a dog with good early speed, and Townview Sid. Just didn't happen for them on the night. But I think it's safe to say we are left with two intriguing semi-finals, two wide open semi-finals. And the first heat, Deadly Showtime, Swords Rex, the other Kobe, the Bold Freddy, Kildare, and Magical Cuba. The first thing we'll be doing is looking at the traffic in the inside of the track in those first two strides. Tommy, the other Kobe, his presence in Trap 3, not ideal for fans and followers of Swords Rex.
No, and Swords Rex is probably going to be chief sufferer because Deadly Showtime is a more natural breaker, even though Swords Rex has very good splits. Deadly Showtime, we'd imagine, and again, we're only going to past performance, we'd imagine he'll produce what he can produce out of traps. He's almost guaranteed to do that. And anywhere between 119 and 125 probably ensures that he's able to hold his own position. Anywhere in that kind of length or so, or 6 spots. Swords Rex, I was watching that heat again in the final heat, the quarter-final heat that he was in last week. Fine margins is all it was that got him beaten, really, right? And he was led, and then he tried to get up the inside, and Lenson Nice wasn't really giving him that bit of space, and then he showed pace down into the third bend, and as he was coming around the last bend, again, it was slight traffic. It wasn't tremendous traffic, but it was just slight that when Lenson Nice was slow to move off the last bend, let's just say, and he didn't get the run, and then Scooby Prince swept around with a massive effort. So I don't think there was a huge amount. He wasn't an awful lot below his best. I think probably wasn't below the best at all, Swords Rex, the last day. So this is really tight.
It was his first time. It was his first time out of the top 3. That's unbelievable. That was his 10th start.
Oh yeah, out of the top 2, yeah. It was, and yet he's only a neck. He's only from a neck for being in the top 2. He's a serious dog, but this will be a good test of him. Now, there will be those who will say, okay, Deadly Showtime's in trap 1 now, and he has been running from middle boxes, and it is a bit of a switch. And will he be able to break? And will he be able to do that? And I suppose if you're trying to find an angle for one dog, and I think in this what's left, it's so tight at the moment in the last 12 that you probably are looking for tiny little angles, and somebody might decide, okay, Deadly Showtime, this is a different box. Let's take a chance that he misses it by half a length or 3 parts of a length or something, and that gives an opportunity to Swords Rex. But it might actually give an opportunity to the other Kobe. But as I say to you, it's a horrible draw for the other Kobe and for Swords Rex. Well, I think there's an X factor in the other Kobe. I wouldn't back him to win this heat. Now, don't get me wrong. I think what you alluded to when you introduced this heat was that it's probably a great draw for Magical Cuba, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It's great. Once he clears Kildare, Kildare does have good early speed. He's yet to hit the lids, but if he does come away racing, he's well capable of going up alongside Magical Cuba. The Bold Freddy also did a 128 the last week. He's certainly capable of going up strongly also. Really just a very interesting heat. From a punting point of view, I think if I was punting anything, it'd have to be on the outside, be it 5 Kildare at a big price or Magical Cuba at a far more restrictive price. Alan, how do you see it? It's one of those heats where the more you look at it, probably the more confused you'd get.
Yeah, especially with the 3 inside. Anything can happen there, but I'd be expecting Deadly Showtime with Daly. He has, to continue. He has the potential that if he can break from trap 1, he can. He'll have the rails to himself, but I can't see Magical Cuba being beaten. And I'm going to go with 1 and 3. 6, 1, 3 would be my forecast in relation to it. But again, Kildare's is capable of doing anything too. If he can, 4th race, if he breaks a bit better, he could do it all with, put pressure on the Cuba on the outside. But no, I can't see 6 being beaten. 3 or 1 and 3. That's who I'm going with.
Tommy, are you between the bookends as well? then another?
No, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I think, to be honest about it, I'd like to find a way that the other Kobe could get through to the final. Because I think he has the ability for things to go wrong and still pick up. And I think that might be the difference between finishing second or third, or maybe he might pop out and do it right and win the heat. But I think Magic Cuba, I think there's no doubt about that. He's got a good draw. I do think if he broke level with Kildare, I do think he'd beat him into the bending.
Do you?
I do. I kind of do. I think Kildare is still looking to find his way in learning his craft and still having a look going into the bend. And what I mean by that is he's trying to pick his path, and he's thinking about it. Magic Cuba, even though he's only had 6 runs, just seems that little bit wiser. But in terms of the overall picture, I'm still not certain of Magic. Well, I'm not. Magic Cuba isn't my idea of the winner of the competition. But I think it's an unbelievable draw. I don't know. I think 6-2-3, 6-3-2. That's the way I would have to go. And I know that sounds ridiculous from the draw, but I think those are 2 really good dogs who can kind of overcome a little bit of trouble 2 and 3 and qualify. 4 and 5 actually it could work out to be a really poor draw for 4 and 5 because it's going to be so tight with the early and the 3 inside dogs having so much early pace. I could see them being stuck behind it.
Okay.
Whereas Magic Cube, I think, can get around the outside with a run.
Yeah. Okay. Right, moving on to the second tee, Scooby Princeton, 1, Crafty Kokoro, Droopies Edison, Lenson and Ice, Lengar Scholar, Baldabula Ed. We'll let Alan start with this one. From a Pat Buckley point of view, it's not ideal, but definitely has a chance of Lenson and Ice going around in front and Baldabula Ed being right there. If they went round first and second, you'd be fairly certain at least one of them would qualify.
I think both of them will qualify. Yeah, that's how I was envisaged the race. Now I think Lenson will come out. Ed then will, he has the pace again. What he showed by the time Deadly Showtime, he had him at the bend. His course and pace going up the back straight. So I can envisage Ford breaking 6th then, and then Banlabola Ed taking over. And I think the way Scooby Prince finished last week, if he has a bit of a run at all, I think he's a banker to qualify as well with his finishing pace. So I'm going to go with 6-1-4. That's what I'm going to go with. But again, I would love to see Crafty in the final as well. So again, she has a big chance, but a bit of luck on the night, she might springboard into the final. So with Banlabola Ed's pace, I think he's going to potential here for a big run again. But again, the quality it's magnificent in this race, and no disrespect to Droopies Edison and Glengar Scholar. Again, they're well capable of doing a run. But yeah, I think Banlabola, Scooby and Linson and Ice. That's my tuppence.
Tommy?
I think if you took out Glengar Scholar and put him into the other heat, Pat Buckley would be extremely happy. Now, Glengar Scholar can win this heat. He has 28-24 on this card with off a 131. It mightn't be enough to lead here. I don't think he's going to win the heat, but I won't fall over if he does. But what I'm saying about the other 2, 4, Linson and Ice, he wouldn't be what I would call, well, maybe as we talked about this in the last couple of weeks about the bend, and these middle and wide seeds aren't exactly going wide around the opening bend. I think Lenson and Ice could be potentially a great blocker to the rest of them on the inside. So all of a sudden, if he pops out and shows his best early pace, he could cross at the first bend. He'll be a bit of a blocker to 1, 2 and 3. If they're close.
The other night, like Swords Rex was waiting for the gap to open up on the fence. Lenson and Ice wasn't allowing him to have it.
Exactly, and that's the way I'm seeing it again, Ian, is that if Lenson and Ice produce his best break or shows the best early pace, he can get across the tree on the inside and all of a sudden become a blocker and also allow that bit of space for maybe Glengar Scholar and certainly Balnabola Ed to get a run. Balnabola Ed would be more of a middle, I would think, than maybe, well, certainly than Lenson and Ice, in my opinion. Balnabola Ed, and this is what's stuck in my mind and why I kind of fancy them. Even before this round, say his run behind Magical Cuba, behind Magical Cuba, he kind of outpaced him a little bit for us. They're young and improving, but I won't park that race. In my opinion, he outpaced Magical Cuba. I think he's phenomenally fast. We said this a little bit earlier on. I think Ballinbola is phenomenally fast. If things go right, he's the lad that said with the hood wearing the balaclava. I think he's got a good draw. There's always the danger if you don't have electric early paces, you're going to get yourself in a little bit of trouble. But I think the makeup of the race isn't bad. I know Pat Buckley might be entirely happy with 4, 5, and 6, but it could actually work in his favour because 4 lengths and ice can be the blocker. And as Alan said, lengths and ice can win. If you can get away in front when it gets so tight, and we're talking about how good all 12 dogs are in, and on all 6 of them in this heat, there's not one of them I can say there I definitely don't think will qualify. If I had to go in reverse order, I'd probably start maybe with Drewby's Edison, because I think he's got a very, very difficult draw. He's got the lengths and ice in his elder. He's got a clear Scooby Prince to have his best opportunity to qualify. And yes, he's a dog in that we talked about a minute ago. He hasn't been out of the first 2, his first 6 races. Only the other night when he finished 3rd. It was the first time out of the first 2.
I think I'd be very slow to rule out Drewby's Edison from the draw. Two is heading straight in. Lengths and ice, while he will go onto the fence on the corners. Drewby's Edison has the potential still to go very fast. He could be right there with him. I'm not certain lengths and ice guaranteed to get around in front of him. Now, that said, lengths and ice is electric, there's no question about it. I think it's a wide open contest, to be brutally honest, but I'd end up siding with Ballinbola for all the reasons you gave, Tommy. I think he's the one that's more likely to get a clear run, because even lengths and ice going inwards, I think Glengar Scholar also wants to go in more. I think he's more of a middle seed than Ballinbola, who could easily run as a wide seed in the future if he wanted to. Yeah, it's going to get tight enough on the inside. Scooby Prince is coming forward. Crafty Kokoro, for her qualifying position, Scooby Prince could be the problem. He's getting stronger and stronger, and he has form over the pitch. Of course, he beat her in the National Puppy Stake. If he did turn in front of her, he's going to be very tough enough to crack, especially the way he's been running and progressing. I think it's a great semi-final. Don't get me wrong, but I'll go with Ballinbola as well. 2 wonderful semi-finals to look forward to at Saturday night at Limerick. Claire, we have to bring in the Clare man here, Alan Troy, because on Saturday night at Shelbourne Park, there was a very famous success for Fast Fit Paddy, and a very deserving success for Declan McDonough, a man that puts his heart and soul into his greyhounds, and he has a proper one in Fast Fit Paddy.
It's a brilliant story. Like, I know Declan since he's a small fella, around Clare with dogs, and it's great to see him now, reach the big stage. He was always a great man for trialing and racing dogs, and particularly in Galway. And we noticed there about 2 years ago, he was hitting to Dublin with different dogs he was training. And next thing, he was winning races. And now he's on the big stage, which it was a phenomenal success for Fast Fit Paddy. A dog that, we became aware of last year with great potential. And he's gone to the next level now, without a doubt. I believe it was the 3rd time 32 seconds was beat or underneath for the 600. So, and again, for the people involved, like John Quinn from Gortis, have given so much to greyhounds in the West, for years with his Fast Fit prefix, and his daughter Tara Cantwell. Just for them, this was just, it was just more than winning the Shelbourne Open 6. This was a dream come true for everyone involved to win such a prestigious race. And again, Declan gets great help from his brother Terry. So, it's a great team effort, and onwards and upwards for Declan. He's been coming to the fore there recently, and I know he would. I remember him saying to me once before, you learn something new with every dog, you learn every day in relation to, how to train dogs, and and I think he's really taken that on board, and, he's determined to succeed. And again, heartfelt congratulations to all involved. And I look forward to reporting on it on Friday now for Greyhound Focus. So on our Sideline View program on Clare FM, it's just brilliant. It's a good news story, and it's again, heartfelt congratulations to all involved.
Tommy, Fast Fit Paddy, he was always a very talented greyhound, a really strong runner last year. He really competed against the best. But this year, there just seems to be more swagger to him. He's a dog that's definitely progressed. I said to Alan, or to Declan the other night, he seems to be a dog that's realised, he says, no, I'm capable of doing this, competing at the very highest level. And he's now a hardened campaigner. He's a dog to take seriously for the remainder of the year.
Oh, he is, Ian. I mean, like you in particular seem to be big and open a good bit in the last few weeks. Like, you know, he's is he 5-9 this year or something like that? I think he is. I think this year alone. He's
past 7 because he started never really figuring his first 2 comeback runs, and then 5 from 7, and one of them he's desperately lucky not to qualify in the semi-finals at Easter Cup.
But that's it. Like he's been in a lot of semi-finals, and like if you're going to get a little bit of consolation for that, and yes, he's a progressive dog, so this isn't necessarily the height of his ability. It's nice to pick up a €15,000 stake or €15,000 to the winner stake along the way. But he needed every bit of the break he got the other night. Because Hello Hammond actually broke quite well and actually matched into the bend, and he just used the inside line well. He had to be at the top of his game. But Declan McDonough, he had a really good bitch there a few years ago. God, I have a really poor head for these things. He had a really good bitch a few years ago, and I cannot remember her name. But anyway, I think he's a fellow I've seen. He's one of these lads who doesn't seem to have an awful lot of dogs, but you respect every one of them that comes up the country, like, don't you?
Yeah, he has a small kennel. Yeah, about 12 dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only, and you know, he has another dog that he's talking about bringing Fast Fit Paddy to Toaster for the English Derby, and he's a dog who likes the inside. He's a strong runner, and he can start. You know, there's nothing else really for him until the Champion Stakes. So, like, my attitude the other night was, well, why not? He's a hardened campaigner. There's a lot to like about him going to Toaster.
Yeah, I think so. He's a hardened dog. He's a hardy dog with plenty of experience, and he stays very well. He doesn't necessarily have to lead, although he can lead in a lot of races. He's like, if you're not getting a young progressive dog that's coming through, then this is the best alternative. A hardened dog with great experience who stays really well, who can handle the rigors of what is a tough competition. And I could see him going deep, all right, you know.
Yeah, he has bucket loads of determination. He's a really, really determined dog, you know, and that's really helped him as well along his way.
Yeah, he pushed go through a wall for you. We have to mention that the breeder was there the other night, Ballymac at Rossmold Martha. She's been a bit of a star brood, Rossmold Martha. But yeah, Fast Fit Paddy, he's had 37 starts now, 11 wins, 13 seconds, 3/3. He's just the dog that knows how to make the frame. He's a big 82-pounder, not afraid to use his frame. And his strength this year has been phenomenal. You look at his run in the opening round, he got stopped a couple of times, and he still came through to lead in the run in 32.50. Last week, got loose and only wins 3 lengths in 32 off. Great runs, Fast Fit Paddy second. And then the other night, he breaks in front, does his best sectional. We spoke all last year, Tommy, about Susie Sapphire peaking on the night that counted. Here's another dog doing it, Fast Fit Paddy. You know, he does 5.85 the other night, 31.96. I was at Shelbourne Park the night 33 seconds was broken for the first time. If you told me, you know, a few years later to be breaking 32 seconds, this is only the 3rd dog ever to do it, only the 2nd dog to do it in victory, because the track record run Law Hill Duke, that night he only won a neck or a half length from Ballydoyle Hut. So in reality, he's only 2nd winner ever at Shelbourne Park to break 32 seconds. It's stunning. If you look at the fastest runs ever done for 600 yards, just look at the names that are on that list. And if you're beating some of those dogs in terms of the clock, and I don't care whether the track was going well or not, the track was going okay. It wasn't what you'd say absolutely flying. It was a stunning run from a greyhound that's clearly right at the peak of his powers.
Like, he went from 5.98 in the semi-final. Yes, he didn't win the semi-final, to 5.87, which is what he needed to do. He really needed it. That's how good the competition was. It's great. You know what? Almost ashamed that we don't have a few more 600 competitions around Shelbourne, because it's a perfect track for 600-yard races. It really is. It's perfect. It's a perfect track for that. I know we have a couple of them around the country and whatever, but that to me is the perfect one for it. It's
Alan, you got to the last Toaster. Would you be making the right?
Oh yeah, if he progresses, yeah, I'm telling you, there'd be a big Clare South Galway contingent flying over. Yeah, it should be like a mini Cheltenham, I'd say, over there with the crack, and it would be a really it'd be lifetime ambition, a lifetime achievement or potential for Declan. Yeah, it would be definitely. I think he's worth going there. It's if you're not in, you can't win, as the man says. But to get someone as good, a dog as good as that, you have to take your, you have to take your chances. And I think he really would be potentially a big player. So yeah, it'd be a great occasion having the Clare and Galway contingent roaring and shouting over there. Yeah, I could see it.
That's all a Clare Galway contingent ever do is roar and shout. I'd like to draw a comparison. Crisis Blake, okay, be it was a different type of track, but he ran in a 600-yard competition before going across to the UK, won the English Derby. Who's to say Fast Fit Paddy producing even better runs in 600 yards competitions before going to take on Toaster, a dog that should really suit him, or a track that should really suit him. No, best of luck to John Quinn, to Paul Horrick, and to Declan McDonough. They really are flying the flag, especially for the West. And Fast Fit Paddy, well, hopefully he'll be flying the flag for Ireland. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. We have two wonderful semi-finals of the Con Annie Kirby Memorial to look forward to on Saturday night. Of course, there'll be plenty more action around the country. We're starting to get into the meaty part of the year, and the English Derby to look forward to. We'll have a huge Irish contingent, with many of these Kirby challengers likely to make the journey across the pond. A great few weeks to look forward to, Alan. You're again on Clare FM on Friday evening for the Greyhound Focus. What time can we tune in?
No, I'm normally on from 6:45, roughly. So on Sideline View, it's on 6 to 7 every Friday evening.
Good stuff. And Tommy, lots to look forward to.
Oh, it's fabulous stuff. So even have a look at the rest of the heat, the rest of the results from Saturday night in Shelbourne Park, just to see what type of dogs we have, which are like your Park Blake running well, Coon Valley Duke running really well in defeat, behind Droopy's last one of your old favourites. I mean, there was an awful lot to take from the race in the weekend, which suggests that we've got almost remarkable, and a lot of these will travel, as you said. We've got let's concentrate on the Kirby for the moment, but when we get to the English Derby, we've got a huge amount to look forward to too.
We sure do. An unbelievable few weeks to look ahead to. But again, all roads lead to Limerick on Saturday night for the semi-final of the Con Annie Kirby Memorial. The very best of luck to the 12 remaining greyhounds, to the 12 sets of connections. I know Pat Buckley is 3 and Jennifer O'Donnell is 2, and I'm sure there's others there with a couple in it. But the very best luck to each and every one involved. A wonderful competition. It really is. Stunning ledger. Again, we'll be Talking Dogs Roadshow next Tuesday night down at Limerick. If you want to go, register your interest on Talking Dogs. But that's it from us this evening. Best of luck to you. And again, best of luck to everyone involved in the Con Annie Kirby Memorial. That's it from us. God bless.